I'm the one that's taking a stand. Remember, I wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for you sons of shit, Matt.
She's more.
Yeah, whatever.
This war begun by you, by humans!
You know something, Jerry? Your great shizmat eats shit.
Come on. Your Mickey Mouse is one big stupid dope.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We're a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Praska, and with me is...
your other host, Khalid Hussein.
What up, Khalid?
What up, Joe? How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm chilling. It's a nice, dark Monday evening. It's 7 o'clock, feels like 10 o'clock.
Dark like my soul.
That's exactly how I would describe it. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Yeah, doing pretty well. Yeah, just it's a Monday, so as well as Mondays can be, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, not to steal Edgar Allan Poe's whole thing, but this is like a dreary ass Monday.
Is that Edgar Allan Poe's thing?
I feel like I heard dreary from him.
He did talk a lot about Mondays. He liked lasagna too, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. He's
That's right.
like, Mondays, so crappy, so dreary, unlike this lasagna.
And that's awesome that rhymed too, Khalid.
Yeah. Anyways, How are you?
I mean, I'm good. I just answered your question. You said that already.
I don't know, man. You really derailed me with that Edgar Allan Poe likes lasagna thing.
I don't know. To be fair, you're the one who brought up Poe, so I mean, most people would equate Poe and lasagna.
That is so fair.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, we're back with another fun episode of Frankenstein podcast, everybody. That's what you get.
Joe, stop holding out on me. How are you?
I'm good.
Oh man. Anyways, before we start, I would love to get into the show by reminding all of our awesome Frankenstein's podcast listeners, first time or returning listeners, to check out our Patreon. We just launched it and we've already got a couple of awesome episodes up there. We're going to be trying fun little things. We're calling them Franken bits, but basically just like sometimes it'll have to do with monsters and the monster world, but also it'll be other topics. For example, me and a couple of really awesome guests talk about the Montgomery boat brawl. So if you want to hear us just wax philosophic on, I guess for right now, just like internet video fights, maybe something else eventually. But if you want to see us like talk about stuff like that, that is the place to go. So check out the Patreon when you get a chance. Anyways, let's get back to our regular programming.
Yeah, good housekeeping, Khalid.
Sweep. That's my
sweep. Did we tell in any episodes what our most recent Franken bits was yet or no?
I don't think we did. Well, no, we probably did on the last one because
maybe
that
we
came
did
out after.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, if you're not a subscriber yet or a patron yet, our most recent one we did was our favorite spooky songs for spooky season. So I know it's past Halloween, but honestly, spooky songs can be a year-round thing.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I have to. I'll tell you this, Khalid. My 5-year-old, our daughter, and actually the 2-year-old too, our son, are currently still obsessed with the song "This Is Halloween" from Nightmare Before Christmas. So every day when I drive them to school, I'm listening to it at least 2 to 3 times there and 2 to 3 times back. So I'm getting a lot of this. This is Halloween, and it is closer to December now than October. So we're well past Halloween. We're still in the thick of Halloween music in my house.
I'll be honest, Christmas music like just does not hold a candle to some of the coolest Halloween music. It's not even close. Like a lot of it's just about like a baby or like a chubby guy, and it's I don't know, it's all just like very like faux happy, and it's like the whole point of it is that like carolers can sing it, and it's just like there should be Halloween carolers is what I'm getting at. We should have
It's trick-or-treaters.
no, like they just come to your house and sing spooky ass songs. Like this is Halloween.
While trick-or-treating?
Yeah, if you want to give them candy, but I feel like I don't want to like cross pollinate. I feel like there are people there with the express goal of getting candy, and then there are people that just want to like sing like badass Halloween songs.
Yeah, so it could be trick, treat, or carol.
You wouldn't call it caroling though. That it's got to be like something hot topicy.
Yeah, like
Like
choral. Sorry,
you really dug deep for that one.
I did.
All right. Well, no such thing as a bad idea.
Sure, that's right. Yeah, especially with me.
That's exactly how the rest of the saying goes.
Yeah. Anyway, Khalid, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. How does an alien get a hold of the planet Saturn?
How does an alien get a hold of the planet Saturn?
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird question.
Huh.
Give them a ring.
Yeah, you got it. Wow, Khalid.
I almost said put a ring on it, but then I thought about how you phrase the question, and it was like, how do you get a hold of Saturn? Like not actually hold it or like even like propose to it. You literally mean just call them.
Like a call, like a phone call, Khalid. Yeah.
Yeah. God, I'm getting good at these.
Yeah, it's kind of almost sad, but it's
I'm glad you recognize it's sad.
yeah. Yeah, it's a little sad. It's okay though. I still care about you.
I didn't know that was ever in question. Honestly, I didn't know I needed to be reassured of that.
And that's a segue, Khalid. What are we talking about today?
It's not a segue. That's not what that is at all. Anyways, thanks for asking, Joe. Today, we're talking about the 1985 sci-fi film Enemy Mine, directed by Wolfgang Peterson, cool name. And it was released on my birthday 4 years before I was born. Anyways, we've got a synopsis from our homeboy Google that goes a little something like this. During a war between humans and the reptilian Drac race, spaceship pilot Willis Davidge ends up stranded on an alien world along with enemy fighter Jariba Shigan. While both Willis and his Drac counterpart can breathe on the planet, the environment and its creatures are relatively hostile, forcing the two to work together to survive. As time goes by, Willis and Jariba become unlikely friends, though their unique relationship faces considerable challenges.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
Boom.
They really make these like movie descriptions so much more in depth for the older movies.
Right? I was just thinking like that went on for a little while. Like the newer movies
That's
are like
a
sentence, not even
lot.
a sentence.
Yeah, that's a lot for like
Yeah.
Alien Odd Couple.
It's like a summary, right? Like it's like a full-on summary.
You
Alien Odd
definitely
Couple.
you definitely get like the A plot, the B plot. You get like a lot of
Yeah.
like the undercurrent to it. It really like it sets you up for a soft landing for what the movie ends up being.
Yeah. Anyway, Khalid, let's get into some thoughts. What did you think about this? Is your first time seeing this, am I right?
100%. I would never just watch this in a million years.
Well, I bet you're glad that you did. Tell us your thoughts.
What a weird fucking movie, dude. I think I texted you when Louis Gossett Jr. was giving birth to his alien baby. What the hell is this movie, man?
You did. Yeah, you did.
Wow. I mean, I guess the takeaway, the big thing for me is that it feels like an extended Star Trek episode, but like one of those like middling episodes that will in no way tie into the seasonal arc. You know what I mean? Like real story of the week type shit. Like they were just like, all right, we've got Patrick Stewart and this day player. We can only shoot on one location. Oh, what if the alien's pregnant dude? And obviously I'm minimizing it for the comedy here, but it in a lot of ways that's what it feels like. It feels like just like an extended like sci-fi like middle story. Like it doesn't even sound like the main story in like this Dennis Quaid character's life. Like if this feels like the prologue to like his like real space adventure where like he'll just like reference the time he hung out with like a pregnant alien dude. But all that said, like I was shocked at like how many times I got just genuinely sucked into this. And like, you know, after a while you kind of get over like the like, oh, it's like a race allegory, but also it's an alien, but also the alien is like a self-replicating creature and stuff. So it's like it's old hat if you've seen Star Trek or like these deep sci-fi things. So like none of that like is like mind-blowing to the average viewer these days. But that aside, like I was more shocked that they were able to make like what amounted to a sci-fi adventure feature film like post Star Wars that was like it could have been a play, you know? And it was like really dialogue heavy in a way that's like, you don't even really get like major blockbuster or like genre films now that have to do with like real other cultures, let alone like coming up with like a whole religion and like cultural background for this one alien species. So like to see something like that where it's like to even within fiction, like find like the unifying humanizing like traits in each other, and to like go to like such like really like deliberate lengths with it, you know. I will talk about the actual like mechanisms of the movie and how it played as a movie, but I will just say overall, like for what it was going for, I don't see it as often in like genre, at least like within feature films. So I think I'm overall in favor of it for the attempt, just because like that's just like cool. Like if I saw something like that today where like you get this like, I'm sure the trailers back then were probably like Dennis Quaid just like flying through space and he gets shot down and what's he gonna do on this planet, and they probably just like tried to trick it with all the like minor action scenes. But like I would have loved that if I like went in, I thought I was gonna get some like boring like middling Star Wars knockoff, and then I got like just like this like really like powerful like allegory about like how you can't fight your enemy if you ever actually got to know them. It's like really beautiful. And so yeah, I don't know, I give it an A for the attempt. Like it is such a cool idea that I don't think it really like sputtered at all. Like if you're talking about the thought that it's trying to communicate, I think it did that very clearly, and it was entertaining on that front. But I don't want to suck up all the air. Joe, what did you think of Enemy Mine?
Damn, Khalid, you had thoughts.
I always have thoughts.
That's true. That's true. You are.
They're just for the record, I can have thoughts and still be a dummy. You know, like
fair.
No one's saying the thoughts are good.
Fair. No, okay. So I suggested this movie to us. I wanted to do this one. It was on my list for a while. This is honestly the kind of like space opera bullshit that I eat up like hard. I love this stuff. Like the just like, you know, like I don't know, alien culture, politics, crazy stuff, like morality tales like this. Like you said, this is an extended Star Trek. Like I love Star Trek since I was a kid. So yeah, this is like this type of plot that I just absolutely dig. And like I love that, like you were saying, like that kind of bait and switch where it's set up like this, like almost like Star Wars clone with like fighter pilots and like woohoo, you know, like tough guy, like, you know, that whole thing, and like a alien race that they're fighting, and then it's just like, you know, becomes this sort of like grounded drama, right? Like where they have to like figure their shit out and like talk through it, right? Like it's great. Like I mean, it was, I'm going to get into this point, but it's like this anti-war like message in the height of like the Cold War, like Reagan era, you know, which was like not when that sentiment was super popular at the moment, you know? So like it was a bold movie, and I think like at this time, like 85 was before like Next Generation came out. So TNG, like Star Trek, does have plots like this, but it did it like a little bit before like that was generally popularized by Star Trek. There's lots of like stuck on a planet with another alien and having to like get to know each other plots of like the newer Star Trek shows, like 80s on. But this one was like a really big stepping stone into that. I think that one of the aspects of this that I really like too, I hadn't seen this since I was a kid either, and so I didn't remember like the intricacies of it or like some of the elements of like what the actual like world building parts were. And I remember like the opening voiceover and just like some of the beginning scenes where it was trying to be all adventure-y, like were kind of cringy. Like I was rolling my eyes at a bit, like talking about like the like brave notions of colonizing and all that stuff, or like even when he makes like the fat joke to about that nurse. You remember that? Like calls it like the his like co-pilot's girlfriend, like makes a fat joke about her, like Dennis
Oh
Quaid. Yeah,
yeah.
like there's these like cringy moments like that, and I was like, ooh, that's like this 80 stuff that doesn't hold up. But like the movie actually makes Quaid's character like interrogate all of those bad elements that comes up in those first couple minutes. Like even the fat joke, like his co-pilot dies and his dying words is like, don't say that shit, you know? Like that's hurtful. And he has to like reconcile that. And then like even in like the colonizing element, like coming up against like his like the Drac character, like what are you doing? Like you're invading, like that element, or like, you know, like having to like flip those notions on its head. Like it's a really bold stance that like you aren't seeing from a lot of these movies at that time. And especially like something that's kind of a grand space opera with like, you know, alien sets, alien creatures, like spaceships and like other colonies, other worlds, and all that kind of stuff. Like it's such a unique, cool thing. Like, I don't know. I really love it. I had been honestly like craving like a good space opera type thing. Like I'm all caught up on all the Star Treks, all the new stuff, watched all the Star Wars and stuff, you know, like I'm just like, I want something that, you know, that's doing that. I was digging into some like really B grade, like low budget sci-fi original type movies. And I'm just like, this isn't doing it for me. And I'm like, oh yeah, Enemy Mine. Like, I gotta check that out. I should go do that on a podcast. And I'm like, oh fuck yeah, it held up to me. It's so much fun. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I had a great time with it. And like on top of that, like the themes like of like war and like overcoming like xenophobia or like racism and all that, like the gender element too, like the idea that the Drac species are like genderless or whatever. I mean, there's like, of course, like in that time, like they weren't as forward-thinking to like identify like what kind of pronouns they would use. Like they use it a lot, but the idea that what presents to us is like a male looking character, Louis Gossett Jr. is like a man, like being pregnant. Like that's just a fun way to play around with like something that would be unexpected at that time and feels very forward thinking. So yes, needless to say, I thought it was super cool. I loved it. I'm excited to keep revisiting this one down the road too.
I mean, I feel like just with the way the world is, it's only going to
Yeah.
be more and more fascinating to kind of like look at how even in the 80s, like there was like this push towards like trying to like get technology out of war and just bring it down to like, look, if it's a person versus a person, do you actually want to kill them?
Yeah. That's it. I mean,
You know?
it's what it is. And like I remember like noting too, like in the beginning, like Dennis Quaid plays very maniacal at first. Like he's like blood in his eyes, like kind of thing when he's trying to like take out the like was it Jariba is his full name? Jerry, he calls him Jerry the whole time.
Yeah, which is like such a great touch.
Right.
Like honestly, just
Yeah.
like immediately, not even just earthanizing it,
Yeah.
like westernizing this like name that's like one or two syllables longer. You could just pronounce. He gives you like the dignity of saying your whole last name every time. You can't
Yeah.
even Jerry.
Jerry.
God.
Yeah. He calls him Jerry. Yeah. Um yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
You're talking about how I forgot to.
That's okay.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I will say, like, it's not lost on me that this came out around the same time as like the third Rambo and the third
Rocky Four.
Or
Rocky Four too.
Did that also take place in the Middle East?
Well, not in the Middle East, but that was like Rocky Four was like when he went and fought Drago in Russia. So it was like Cold War stuff.
Okay, so yeah, and then like more to my point about like Rambo and Indiana Jones, where like, you know, a lot of people know this trivia, maybe some don't, where they are fighting with what we would by today's standard call the Taliban. They're called the Mujahideen, like freedom fighters at the time. And I don't need to get into a whole geopolitical history of it or anything like that, but it's always really fascinating watching movies from this time period where it's like, I don't know, like we're basically watching Dennis Quaid get like radicalized throughout the movie until he not basically, he absolutely commits an insurgency on his people, first on his base and then on a mercenary like slave mine, which is loaded as hell, you know. Like, and it's
Yeah.
like that is like the most fascinating thing to me about this movie is like it's either like the highest level of self-awareness or like a miraculous degree, like lack of it, you know, where it's just like, wow, he keeps saying how like the Drac are these really like evil monstrous aliens, and then he casually puts aside like, oh yeah, and those are the humans that are mercenaries, which are worse than the Drac, but we tolerate them because they take them as slaves. Which, like, I don't like. That's the movie saying that. Like, my jaw dropped at like the like levels of like politics that this movie like bothered to do in genre, and it's like outside of Star Trek, I would say like this feels like some of the best Star Wars. Most notably Andor. They also kind of do a really good job of like kind of getting into like the war profiteering that most like wars are based around, and like even this, you know, like Dennis Quaid and Jerry, they are both like whatever they think they believe, like neither of them are like nearly as invested as the people that are like pushing forth with this war for resources and planets, you know, like they'll never see like a fraction of that fortune. So it's like if everything went according to plan, one of them should have just killed the other in the sky and moved on with their life. But because of this like freak accident where they're stranded on this like, was it a moon or something, or like a like just like this
just
like
a planet,
weird, like this deserted planet, because they were stranded there, like they had to put all that aside and just like remember like, oh yeah, we're all just like trying to survive like with our families, with whatever, and our culture. And it's again, man, like for all of like the like janky 80s sci-fi of it all, and like I mean sometimes like just Dennis Quaid really like goes big in like a Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Chinatown way without maybe the same returns. But like for all I can like nitpick and stuff like that, like I don't know, like maybe it's just the timing of it, but like a story like that is so beautiful to me.
I agree. It's really touching. And now I remember what I was going to say, like Dennis Quaid playing in the beginning, like really maniacal, like when he tried to kill Jerry at first, like he's just like laughing maniacally at like the idea of him dying, you know, like, and I was like, why is he doing that? But like it does, like, I mean, I think that's what you're saying. Like he goes big to try to make that turn like feel so much more dramatic, I think.
You know what I was thinking the whole time I watched it?
What?
I really, really hope that Jack Quaid uses like whatever Hollywood juice he has to get like like a sequel of this made.
God, that'd be so cool.
Where it's like Jerry's son and him, like Dennis Quaid's son or something, like have to like
they're buddies now.
God, it feels like a Rush Hour kind of thing. But like
that'd be great.
You know what I mean? Where it's like, because like they already kind of like, but the thing is, Jack Quaid would be like the Jackie Chan of it, where he's like a stoic, like military guy. And then like you've got like Jerry's son, who is like half human.
Zamis, right?
Zamis, and he's like raised by Dennis Quaid too, you know, but like back when like Dennis Quaid was like a crazy, like for lack of a better word, like he was basically just like castaway guy, but he had a kid. So like he's kind of crazy and zany. So like the Chris Tucker character is Zamis in this.
I would love that. I would love that.
A Rush Hour sequel with their sons.
Yeah. Well, we know Jack Quaid's a regular listener of the podcast, so make it happen, Jack.
Yeah, Jack, and stop begging to guest on the pod. We'll get you on when the schedule allows it.
Yeah, you're on the list.
It's embarrassing at this point. But no, yeah, I will say also, speaking of Jack Quaid, like I really like, I wasn't like the biggest like Dennis Quaid fan growing up, just because he wasn't really like marketed towards like little kids. But you know, now like going back watching some of his stuff, like it's really cool seeing like how like where Jack gets some of his stuff, because like I'm obviously like a little bit more geared towards like the stuff that he makes now.
Yeah, same. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like especially this like a really young Dennis Quaid, you can see like some interesting like through lines, you know, like familial resemblance is more striking here, I think.
Yes, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. But let's not talk only about Dennis Quaid. There was somebody else for a lot of this movie, not the whole movie, as I was surprised to find out. What did
Yeah.
you think of our main man, Louis Gossett Jr., who you, I think, quote said, gave the performance of a lifetime?
I said all-time performance.
All-time performance. That's what you said. Elaborate.
I think I mean, he had to act under like under this makeup, like this like alien kind of rubber mask prosthetic makeup, which I think is never easy, as I think we see in a lot of like things like Star Wars and Star Trek. Like that can be very challenging. And so like that alone is just a barrier that I think is impressive to go through. But the idea that his transition throughout it of like the choices that he makes of this really thick accent and like the alien language and the trilling that he does at first, like it's super alien feeling, but as like the time progresses, like how he like just slightly diminishes his accent as he's presumably learning English, like it gets better and better. Like the touches that he brings to the character are so impressive, and just like the earnestness with which he plays it, like I was like I really felt for him. Like there was the moment where he's like tells like Davidge that he was gonna like share his lineage with him, and like Dennis Quaid's character makes a bit of a joke, and he's like, it's a great honor that I'm offering you. And like, it just felt like I was just like, oh my God, like I feel for the guy. Like it's such or the individual at this point, because it's not a guy, right? But like, I feel for them because like, it's just like a touching, like opening moment that, was kind of shut down with a joke. And like Dennis Quaid had to like take it back a little bit and be like, no, yes, I'm interested. But like that, like earnestness is there. And like when he shared like stuff that's personal to his culture, like it just felt like so palpable. I was just really impressed with that performance. Like it's hard to make someone care with some, like about a character that's like full on makeup sometimes when you can't always emote the best ways, but he like made that work in such an impressive way. And like, I mean, I don't know if you know how much about Louis Gossett Jr., but he's had already won an Academy Award for Officer and a Gentleman before this. So like he was already like a well-respected actor, but like coming into this, like it's clear why.
That's awesome. No, I mean, I mostly know him from like his later years work. Like I really loved him in the Watchmen TV show. That was him, right? Yeah. Yeah, he's really good in like the few episodes he's on there.
Yeah.
And I just think he brings like such a gravitas to this a scene whenever he's in something. And so for me, yeah, like I do think that like the prosthetics and everything like that like limited him, but like in an advantageous way. Like it really just felt like, I don't know, he really embodied like the kind of character or creature that would like have like limited features, and so they would have to emote with what they have, and like how they would do that within their culture and within their species. And I don't know, it was like he was communicating so much in like a world building kind of way without ever having to say any of it. And like a lot of that came down to like the screams or like the laughs that he would do too. And I love that they never try to do subtitles.
Same.
It's just foreign to us when he's talking, and we get like bits and pieces from what Dennis Quaid remarkably quickly learns. You know what I mean?
Both of them
like,
kind of pick up each other's languages pretty quick.
It's like one or two cutscenes, and then they're both just like fluent in each other's languages. And then I was like, well, he hasn't grown that much facial hair, which is the only, like, they don't say that Louis Gossett Jr.'s species grows facial hair. They only do that to Dennis Quaid, and that's how you can tell time is passing. And he's like maybe like a month or two deep without a shave, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so. And I think you mentioned all the like Jerry's character, like the Jerry character dies like in the movie, but like I think it's only a year that they really spend together, and then Dennis Quaid's there for like 2 more years, I think.
Yeah, and that's because the whole thing was like the big reveal is like he was there for 3 years, which is like a lot happened.
Yeah.
But also like he learns how to speak. They both learn how to speak each other's languages so fast. But I get it for the sake of the story. Like I don't want to like dwell on that too much.
Right.
It's just I really, really like the way that Louis Gossett Jr. like was able to kind of like bring this distinct like personality to a creature or a character that already has like so much like external stuff that needs to be explained for you guys to even like, or not you guys, us, for us to even appreciate like what he's doing, what he's bringing to it. And it's like my favorite thing about like when like a really good actor gets into genre where it's like they find like the core of it, the kernel of it, and they like communicate that to the audience.
Agreed. Well said. And to your point about like the language stuff too, like he actually came up with some of the like the gurgling stuff like he did. Like he said, apparently he told the director Wolfgang Peterson that when he was a kid, he used to like gurgle saliva just to make a funny noise as a kid. He's like, what if I did that? And they're like, yeah, do that. And so he did that all without prosthetics or any post-production effects.
Wow.
Yeah, right. Apparently he still does the Drac voice at convention appearances.
I love that.
That's cool. Yeah.
I would geek out if I saw that now.
Right. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much for introducing this movie, by the way. Like it really is the kind of thing where like, even if I was just scrolling by and like I saw it in the description of it, I'd be like, I'm good. I don't think anything nothing could prepare you for like what the movie is.
Well, the poster too, like I mentioned, like this was a failure. Like this was a commercial failure. Like it did not do well. It was not a success. They wanted it to be a big thing and it was not. Like, and the poster like it presents them as very antagonistic. Like they're facing each other. It's called Enemy Mine. It looks like it's going to be this like battle, but it's like really not that. I mean, it's not that. Like you said, it's like a very different movie than what one could come to expect. Like, and there's like I have this on Blu-ray, Khalid, of course I do, but there's like an essay book that came in with the set that I got, and the essay talks about like this era, like what you talked about, like a lot of movies during this time are like, you know, a little bit jingoistic in how they present like foreign affairs, right? And specifically, like this came out like right around the same time as I mentioned that like Rocky IV, where he goes and like literally like beats up the Russian character. Like that's the point. And like coming in that height of the Cold War, that like height of the Reagan era politics, 1985, like it was a harder sell, I think, for studios, perhaps, maybe not necessarily people, but like to like present a movie like this that's just vehemently anti-war and like all about embracing the enemy, right? And so it was marketed in a way that I think was not showing what the story was. So
again, like I don't know how you market it because like you kind of have to trick people into watching this because like it's ostensibly for like people who like really like Star Trek and stuff like that, but
Star Trek wasn't really that I mean Star Trek was doing the movies at the time, like Next Generation hadn't even come out yet.
Yeah, and like I feel like Andor would sink like a rock back then if it came out for the same reasons. Like there's no real way to like, well, Andor is a little more action heavy and stuff like that, so like it might have worked at any time. I don't want to like be like, oh yeah, it's only working now because of time or whatever. But
yeah,
I do think that like, yeah, there's just like even Star Trek had to like really sell the like space fight of it all. And they ratcheted up the drama. And I will say, if we're going to get into the nitpicks of this movie, which I think it's time to, it did run a little long for me, even at only like an hour and 48 minutes. It feels like it drags in places. You really kind of have to reorient yourself like 2 or 3 different times. You know, the movie will settle into like a good groove like it did with the Louis Gossett Jr. stuff. Pretty much everything up until he dies is like great. And like, you kind of think like, oh, is this the whole movie? It's already like an hour in and they've kind of covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
And then he dies giving birth, which is insane. Let's just never gloss over that. And then it's like about how Dennis Quaid is like raising, what's his name again? Zamis. Yeah.
I think Zamis, yeah.
Yeah. So he's raising Zamis and like they age really quickly. So he's already like 13 or something by the time like slavers come down and like just fuck their shit up. And it just kind of like, this is the part that I wish the movie had done where it was like when they got up to the ship and you think that Dennis Quaid is dead. And it's just like the 2 shipmates like talking. I thought it was going to be like this cool, like almost like The Wire type thing where it's like, oh, like now we're like, that was just part of it, and now it's like we see like like how they react to everything, and like the body, and maybe like we follow some niece or something, and
Mhm.
it's like like I was like, oh, this movie's got balls. You kill Louis Gossett Jr. and Dennis Quaid, and then it turns into, which, you know, it wasn't bad what it turned into, but it's basically just like this, like, cool, like you're an insurgent now, which is like interesting, but like I'm not even really sure that like the movie interrogates his politics enough to like justify the heel turn. It really is just about this one kid, which, like, I don't know, like feels like you might just like have that kid come back with you, and like it becomes that problematic thing of like, you didn't actually learn anything from this culture, you just like took one of their kids back to your culture kind of stories.
Yeah.
And I don't know that like it ever really like landed one way or another for my taste, although he's definitely like anti-slaver, which I can get behind.
Yeah, he is. And yeah, he is absolutely. So yeah, I'm with you. I think like in terms of nitpicks, I think yeah, that would have been a cool idea. Like the idea of the two leads dying and then following Zamisa, actually. That would have been really interesting. Like basically that child of two cultures in a sense. But
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
he speaks English, so like what if he gets to the mine and he's the only one that can speak like fluent English? And it's
yeah.
like, I don't know, what if he grows up being like the Barack Obama or something of like Earth?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it could be like just like a lot of fascinating
There's a lot
turns.
of
And
interesting ways you could take that for sure. I mean, I think the action element of it was kind of fun. Like the, you know, like you said, like the one man like insurgent going like and killing all the slavers was like exciting, and it's a fun like set piece and stuff. But like surprisingly gory. That part was surprisingly gory though. Remember that guy like get crushed?
really, really
Yeah,
gory.
for
Yeah.
like
And
what
like
felt like a
Chekhov's
PG movie
makeshift
for a while.
arrow.
Yeah, that's right.
With the made out of like nuts and like spaceship parts, because like
Yes.
it was such a funny, I don't know, what do you think the commentary was on that, like the making of like such a primitive weapon out of like space equipment and shit. Like he just looked like such a doofus to me.
I don't know. I think it was just I don't know. It might have been just there to be cool.
It's like he's got the bow and arrow, and then Louis Gossett Jr. has the laser dart. I wonder which would be more useful for hunting.
Yeah. Um, I suppose it's a good time to like get in a little bit of the background, like because like your question about the final act is a big part of like the background of this movie. So this was based on a novella by Barry Longyear, which won the 1979 Nebula Award for Best Novella, as well as the 1980 Hugo Award for Best Novella. So he wrote that, and the slaver part is the only actual like mine in the movie, enemy mine. And there's jokes a lot of time, like the people in work in the movies and like people who write about it joke about like how the studio insisted there be a mine to avoid confusion in it. Like, I don't know, but like it's like this action bit that they like, it seems like it was a studio directive to put that part in, because none of that was in the book. Like essentially in the book, like Dennis Quaid just kind of becomes like slowly disenfranchised with humanity, like realizing how like xenophobic they are, like his character, like, and essentially it's like a slow kind of like downer ending almost, but it's a little bit different. The actual novella was followed by two sequels called The Tomorrow Testament and The Last Enemy. The second one follows a woman who is captured by the Drac and finds out that another alien race orchestrated the war, has to learn some of the same lessons in the first one. And the third one follows the Davidge character and like how the war between humanity and the Drac ultimately ends. So it's kind of like a full story there. It'd be interesting to go check those out. But anyway, yeah, so like that whole last act with the mine and the slavers was like kind of added in. And like you said, like I think the idea of that concept of like these like slavers who are profiteering off the war, like that's a good like expansion of the world. And if that element wasn't in the original book, I think that's a good addition. And I think that it's movie making, right? To like be like, you introduce this, you have to have him like somehow show back up in some like larger capacity later on. So like I kind of expected that to be something that was going to happen in the movie. And I'm fine with it overall. I'm fine with what we got. Like you said, I think they could have taken it some ballsier ways, but like it's still good.
I just think it's funny. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. But
No, you're good. You're good.
Just came to me while I was watching the movie, and you just reminded me of it. I think it's so funny that we spend like 45 minutes like painstakingly humanizing the Drac, and Jerry specifically, and like learning their faith, learning all of this, and we're like, huh, maybe war is like senseless. And then Dennis Quaid's like, oh yeah, and then there's this subsection of humans that are like slavers. They're even worse than these fuckers. And it's just like,
We're not
I don't know,
humanizing them.
man.
They just die. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
they
is-
suck. Like
they
one
suck.
of them gets his brother killed before we know very much of anything about them other than what Dennis Quaid tells us. And sure, the movie like paints them as like two-dimensional bad guys, but it
Mhm.
also just undermines the whole point of the first like 45 minutes of this movie, where it's just like everybody is like a person except for those actual people over there.
Except for those assholes. Yeah, like of the like the whole buildup of pacifism, like that's definitely a heel turn.
It's so funny. It's just like
Yeah.
they just have these like Disney ass villains. And again, like it's not that bad people can't exist and like all that shit. It's just that like they don't go to even like half the lengths to
Mhm.
try and show why they're bad compared to why Drac is good or why the enemy
Right.
why the supposed enemy is good.
Yeah, there's more that could have been done there. Like yeah, that's a very like movie making kind of style, like action set piece that they kind of put in there, and it's fine. But yeah, it does undermine a little bit of it, like you said. I think that's true. It was cool though. Like I liked the chance to like see more Drac. Like we got to see like some like diverse looks in their like makeup styles. Like there was the one elder Drac that we met, the only other one who could speak English. That was kind of cool. Like those elements of it were kind of fun to like it just again like a little bit more of the world. Although I think that it would have been cool to like the final scene where he does go to the Drac homeworld and recites the lineage for Zamis. Like that's a really touching like idea that like he does follow through on that promise. Like that would have been a good opportunity to see more characters there too.
No, and I mean that's such a great aspect of it with like the lineage and like this
Yeah.
idea of like, you know, I heard this saying a long time ago and it really stuck with me, where it's like to know me is to love me. And
Mhm.
it's really as simple as it sounds. It's like if you actually like know somebody, like even if you like hate them, like if you actually know them, like you like know about like their childhood, you know about like their family, their friends, like what their likes, their dreams, their hopes and stuff like that, it becomes so much harder for you to like reduce them to like one bad take or like one bad like act, you know. And it really is just like it's that like and that is like the fundamental folly of war, is like you have to like make a monster of the enemy, and the only way to do that is to like keep it as like these abstract like horrible like monstrous things. And that's kind of my biggest like pushback to the slavers in this, is like even them, they make them like this like abstract like monstrous thing, so you don't interrogate it any further. It's just those are just bad people and they're opportunists, and it's like, okay, but who's giving him the opportunity? Because by Dennis Quaid's own admission, his like military like empowers them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like that is that like the fact that he took out that mine was an act against his people, not just the slavers.
Yeah.
And like that is so messy and complicated, and it just like it's like it does that thing that a lot of American media does, where it gets like right up against the edge of making a point, and then it realizes like it's the Black Panther problem of like, okay, we might be making too real of a point. So what if Killmonger just shoots his girlfriend here, or like what if he just like murders like a civilian here, just so that like we don't worry about people thinking he's the good guy. And it's like, I get it. On the one hand, you don't want to like make somebody who's like committing acts of terror or like committing a crime like seem like the good guy just because he's like opposing an imperialist force. But like I do think that it hamstrings a lot of storytelling when certain writers who aren't equipped to like talk about like that complicated of an issue like really start flirting with it, and it just makes like these like weird morality plays where it's cool that Dennis Quaid saved his adopted son from a slave mine, but we don't ask about like what about all the other slave mines that are emphatically endorsed by this like space regime that seems to be on a like galaxy conquesting mission.
Yeah. There's a lot of like world building elements that are hinted at that. Yeah. Great points though, Khalid. Great points.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. I
Yeah.
really just could not let go of that thought. So thank you. Thank you for letting me just like spit it out.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's no. I think that's fair. Like, I think that's. I would say, like, I think, as the majority of the criticisms that I have seen about the movie are usually like the people who can get behind the themes of it all and really like appreciate what it's going for, like, do feel like that last act is a bit of like a turn, like, of like, okay, this doesn't quite fit with what they're trying to do, like, yeah, it simplifies things, like you said, and it just kind of takes it in a direction that doesn't really feel consistent with what was building up to. So I think that's totally true. um a couple other small things I did wanted to touch on before we dig into like the behind the scenes VFX stuff. um you probably have some stuff you want to chime in here too, but I thought it was interesting in terms of like just another background piece to give some context to how this movie was made. This was actually started by a completely different director by the name of Richard Longcrane, I think, who was like fired or let go over creative differences. And pretty much everything that they had shot with him was scrapped, like, entirely. So
Wait, what's
Wolfgang,
the difference between getting fired and let go?
I don't know. It depends on what article I read, honestly. So I put both. Yeah. So I don't know. But the Wolfgang Peterson, so if you don't know what he did Das Boot and Neverending Story. So he was a pretty well-known director, and he was taken on, and after taking over the project, he decided not to use any of the footage that was already shot and actually switched locations entirely, because they were originally shooting in Iceland and he brought it to West Germany instead. He also redesigned the alien costume, Gossett's like out like makeup and everything, to make it look more like the character as it's described in the novella. The budget was initially 12 million under the original director, and when Peterson took over, it got up to like 40 million. So he pulled in a lot more funds to like do some work, and to contextualize like how this was not successful. In the first 2 weeks of being in the theater, it earned only 3 million.
I'll be honest, this movie does not look like $40 million went into it.
I think a lot of it too was probably like picking up and changing, like, from Iceland to Germany. It cost a lot of money, like, in itself, right? Like,
part of what I liked about it was that I thought it was like a mid-budget thing, but I guess like getting Dennis Quaid at like arguably when he's like hot property was also, and Louis Gossett Jr. Yeah, honestly, yeah, this is a more expensive movie than I realized watching it, but like it didn't feel expensive.
right. And like, like, even looking at some of like the space battle effects, like, I think some of them, like, I think they look fine, the space battle stuff, but like you compare it to like something like Star Wars in 77,
Which came out earlier.
Looks a lot better in terms of space effects. I will say where this does shine, the makeup and the creature design stuff and like the set design is really solid though. Like that's really strong, and I'll get into that a little bit. But like, and then it kind of ties me into another thing, just like within the world. Like, I think that there was a really cool attention paid to like the ecology of the planet. Like, when you have a story, like even in Star Trek, sometimes guilty of like a planet just is like rocks and caves and that's it. But like they actually like get into like the changing of the seasons, like the little like the animals, like you get the space turtles that like knock off Sarlacc pit thing that like eats them and actually like comes under their tent, that was nuts. But like I like one small piece that I thought was super cool was the idea when they learned that those like space turtle like shells are like adaptive to like the regular meteor showers. Like that's an interesting piece that kind of makes sense for like a creature that lives in a world that's constantly like, hurtled with meteors. Like they have like these adaptable shells. I thought that was cool.
No, I disagree that how he realized their meteor proof made any sense.
Oh, I'm saying like the concept of the idea of like that grew.
Yeah, but
like,
the way cool. They got to that idea was the most like bonkers thing.
Yeah.
And I don't like, I get why like Louis Gossett Jr. is like, you know what, like this is stupid and technically not true how you demonstrated it, but like also meteors are hitting us, so like worth a shot. But like all he did was like pick up a rock and then hit the shell once, which is not the same thing as finding out if it's meteor proof. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're fine.
Like you wouldn't test bulletproof vests by throwing a bullet at it. Like that's not how bullets are usually going to hit the vest.
Yeah. I mean, you're okay. So listeners, before we started recording, Khalid made a really apt analogy that if we were in this situation, that I would be the Dennis Quaid and he would be the Louis Gossett Jr. And it does feel like I feel like I would be like, yeah, let's use the turtle shells, and you'd be like, no, but not come up with
I wouldn't
alternative.
even be
You
like,
wouldn't. You wouldn't
no,
have another
I would,
idea. You
I
wouldn't have
would
another
just
idea.
make the very valid point that the way you tried to prove it, like, undermines you.
But I would
I
still be
don't.
right. I'd still be right is the point that I'm trying to make here.
Okay, but being right on accident isn't the same as like you should be trusted to make every decision.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
God. I mean, when it did work, I was like, "That's ridiculous." I don't think anything on that planet like would survive like straight meteors hitting, let alone those turtles. I think they would probably just get like they'd get concussed at least, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But whatever. It was a movie. It was fun,
it was
and
cool. Yeah,
it looked cooler as a turtle
yeah,
shell hut.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, the creature design stuff was all really cool. Yeah, that was fun. I liked a couple other small pieces that I liked in terms of just like scenes or lines that I thought were funny. I really liked not funny necessarily, but I liked when Dennis Quaid's character was kind of learning the like the texts, the teachings of the Drac, the philosophies, and like it was like reading some of the quotes. He's like, we have like the same quote on Earth, and like the response to that being like, truth is truth. Like I thought that was kind of a really cool, like touching moment. I also just love the whole like bit where he's like, Mickey Mouse is our like teacher or whatever, and like when Jerry's like, Mickey Mouse is a dope, and Dennis Quaid
Well,
just like can't stop laughing.
well,
So
yeah,
funny.
but like before that, he insults his god.
I know
Which
it
is
works,
like,
yeah.
that's so messed up.
But at the same
Like,
time, like again, like I mentioned earlier on, like the movie, like whenever he does something like really dickish, like he does in the beginning, like it makes him face that. Like later on, like when he's like, I want to read, he's like, no, you insulted him, like you cannot read this. Like he's like, well, you called Mickey Mouse a dope, whatever. And then like, of course, like Louis Gossett Jr. brings that earnest performance. Like I said, he's like, that was wrong of me, and like gets really emotional about like how he said that, because he equates that, even though Dennis Quaid's like being a dick about it. Like that
but
was
it's also,
that was really well done. Like he made him feel bad about that, like, and it comes back later in the script, and I thought that like the movie does a good job with that overall.
I do think though, like it is kind of like a low key burn at us, like especially like knowing that like
Yeah,
these like European directors made this, and like it's very much like Dennis Quaid is more of a stand-in for America than Earth as a planet.
I think so too.
So like this idea of like Mickey Mouse is your god is like that's an earnest, you know what I mean?
It kind of is.
Like we know, like we literally have a term for it now, Disney adults, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like replace that with like a Marvel character or a Harry Potter character or like any number of like embarrassing IP that like we know one too many adults that like cape for them, and it's just
Mhm.
like yeesh. Like I maybe I'm giving like religious people too hard of a time believing in something silly or what I think is silly, because I did not think it's as silly as this.
Right. Yeah. Were there any other like special like sequences or scenes that you thought were particularly like funny or touching or good that you wanted to point out before we start digging into the behind the scenes stuff?
Oh yeah, when Dennis Quaid deep throated the slug.
Oh yeah.
It was gnarly. I
That
was
was
like,
gnarly.
oh yeah, this started a fetish or two for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He
Oh
just
yeah.
he goes for it though. I'm like, I wonder how many takes he had to do that. Anyways, yeah, that was really the one that just like I was like, that does not look appetizing.
No, that looked disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of funny because like at that point, like Jerry kind of like feels like he's like looking at him almost like a dog, you know? So it's like
Yeah.
he's like, ah, God, I guess I gotta feed it now. Like he found like a stray or something. And so he like
He's
just
got
like
it right.
goes and like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, I don't know, do they eat slugs? Like that was like
Yeah.
a really cool touch.
I really like that. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I suppose I normally at this point in the podcast say let's monster it up, but I hesitate to say monster. It's more like, if anything, it's like I guess you could say creature designs vol in it, but like, yeah, let's monster it up,
Let's monster, so to speak.
so to speak. Yeah. So the primary focus of this is going to be, of course, like the makeup for the Drac characters. Like that's the showcase here. Like the Drac characters in universe, they're reptilian, kind of amphibian-esque because they're really good swimmers too. Humanoid race from the planet Dracon, which fought a war against humans in the late 21st century. They're interesting. We learn a lot about them throughout the movie. We learn a little bit about their culture, their society. They have this kind of belief that everything exists as like an all living spirit, and the spirit directs the creature and their actions and deeds. They have a really strong religion and philosophy with teachings. They have a government of a holy council, and they have like a really strong affinity for that like background, like the lineage of their like ancestry of their family history, and that's kind of like helps define like who they are, like their names, like a last name kind of thing, but multiple names. And one interesting piece that I thought was interesting culturally is how they kind of like rotate through the family name. So like he mentioned Zamis, who the child's name is in this, it was a prior family name, like 5 generations prior to that, and they rotate through that. I thought that was interesting. That being said, we don't learn too much. We don't get to see much more of their planet. I would like to see more of that. I'm sure there's more of that in the books. In terms of like the background of it, the makeup and the prosthetics, it took about 3 hours to apply the makeup to Louis Gossett Jr. to transform him into Jariba, which honestly, I thought it would be longer a little bit.
Yeah.
It's very intricate, but I'm guessing there's like a combination of makeup and prosthetics. So the head piece, it was a head piece that was probably on top and had to be kind of more so blended in. But like the impressive thing I thought was like how they were able to like the cheek and how it like kind of moved on its own a little bit, like elements like that. I will say, unfortunately, like I did a lot of research on like looking through, and I'm not like extensive necessarily, like I'm, a podcaster here, but like I did not find a whole lot of background information about like how this was designed and how it was put on, other than the fact that the design was done by Chris Wallace, who we actually do know previously on the podcast, who did the designs from The Fly, E.T., and Gremlins. So he's a well-known like VFX designer, but he did all the work on this, and he had to redo it when Wolfgang Peterson came on as well. There's a few differences from the book, where I think in the book they're described as a little more greenish, sort of like lizard-like. So they took some liberties there. I kind of like that choice of making it a little more like earthy tones. But other than that, like that's kind of all I was able to really find. Like even on the DVD, like the special features didn't really go into like the production design like that. I found too much of. Yeah, that's kind of all that covered it. But I mean, I honestly, I just kind of want to say like I think that the prosthetics and creature designs were like top notch. Like I think like in terms like of an alien design that's done like practically like that, this would stand up today, I think.
Oh, 100%. Like it does a really good job of like looking like a distinct species without feeling too derivative of anything else I've ever seen. Like it evokes Star Trek without like me thinking, oh, it's just a Klingon or a Ferengi or something. Like it feels like even amongst that class of like distinct species that have been created for genre, this would still stand out.
Right. And that's why like your kind of like idea of like a sequel in this world, like I think would do well, because I think like there's so much you can do with this like kind of race and species and like building a culture there. Like it's kind of rich.
Oh yeah, dude, it'd be so cool. I mean, honestly, like Jack Quaid, like again, it's a maybe for the pod, but you should definitely jump on this movie. Like get a sequel in the books. It could be called like Enemy Yours or something else.
Speaking of jumping on things, Khalid.
Gross.
I'm not sure where you're gonna take this, because I don't know like what character you do it with, but fighting or flirting, fight or flirt, like what's your even take on this movie with fight or flirt?
What do you mean you don't know what character I would do it with?
I mean, like I guess it's gonna be Louis Gossett Jr., but he's like I guess it's
because the other one's a child.
He's like no, I mean, but like as terms of an antagonist, I'm like he's like a friendly character, but I'm like I guess he's antagonistic in the beginning in a sense. So yeah, I guess that moment, fight or flirt, moment. Yeah, there you go. All right, there we go. Fight or flirt. Speaking of jumping on things, Khalid.
Well, that's God. Okay. It's interesting because like while watching this movie, all I could think was, wow, like this whole movie is like a fight or flirt segment. Like they both kind of have like, and I use the term flirt liberally, but like there are times when I basically meant it in the way that Dennis Quaid interacts with Jerry in this. What's his name again? Is it Davidge?
That's that's Dennis Quaid's characters.
Yeah, so
Will
David, yeah.
Davidge, yeah.
Yeah, so Davidge and Jerry's relationship was like basically like some of the times where like I've said I would flirt with a creature like turn into a movie where it's like I'd be like, yeah, I don't know. I would like learn about the creature, like its hopes and dreams, and like spend time with it and talk to it. Cause like, flirting, I feel like there are perverts at home that hear flirt and automatically think that like that goes like straight to like a sexual thing. And sure, I always hope for that. But even if that isn't, even if that isn't a possibility, like flirting just to like build a relationship with another person is always more desirable to me than like fighting them to the death, mine or theirs. So it's really cool to see that kind of drawn out here, where again, like to know me is to love me. And like the whole journey that Dennis Quaid goes through in this is Davidge loving or learning to love Jerry and his people. And yeah, like I would 110% rather do that than fight the guy with a laser dagger. Just like bring it down to like a practicality thing. Like one side is like making like wrench bow and arrows, and the other side has just like a bunch of like cool sci-fi weapons at his disposal. It on a tactical level, it makes more sense to just maybe like learn about his interests. So yeah, and the movie like just painstakingly shows you like what that would even look like. So like it's like, what, I don't even have to like paint you a picture, just watch the movie. I would flirt with it and do exactly what Dennis Quaid did. And yeah, like I would also raise his kid. That just, I don't know, like call me old fashioned, but if you flirt with somebody and then they die giving birth, you got to raise their kid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a flirt for me. What about you, Joe?
Oh hell yeah, Jerry the Drac can get it. Love it.
He can get it.
He can get it.
Joe's words.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm on the flirt train. Yeah.
The most emphatic flirt I've ever gotten from you.
Yes.
Your answers usually go from like, I don't know, this is your thing, to I guess I do what you do.
Got to mix it up a little bit here and there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Emphatic flirt.
Yeah, and I'd absolutely, like you, I would raise the child because Zamis was adorable.
Zamis was so adorable. Oh my
Uh-huh.
God. Like teaching like little dances and little
Yeah.
dances and stuff.
Yeah, it was great. It was good stuff. Yeah. But
Yeah. It's a good time.
yeah. Shall we move on to our final segment?
Let's do it.
All right, Khalid. Our final segment of the show is our What the Fandom segment, in which we share 1 to 2 things that we are into at the moment. May or may not have anything to do with creatures, monsters, and may or may not have anything to do with the movie in question. So, Khalid, what the fandom with you this week?
Thanks for asking, Joe. I'm just wasting a What the Fandom this week because it's probably like one of the more popular shows out there right now. It doesn't really need my plug, but well, I'll do 2 What the Fandoms. My first is going to be for the Amazon Prime show Invincible. Season 2 just dropped, and they're doing it in 2 installments of 4 episodes. So as of this recording, 3 of the 4 first half episodes have dropped, and it's just continuing like a really great story that like season 1, without spoiling it, like left audiences just like, what the hell is gonna happen next, like in like a very good TV way, but also like a stomach churning drama way. And season 2 really capitalizes on that and like the anxieties of like the questions raised in the first season. And I don't know, it's just I find it a really entertaining and satisfying watch every week. The voice cast keeps knocking it out the park. The animation just, it harkens back to like some of like my favorite cartoons growing up, and it's just a really great examination of like superhero lore. And then my other What the Fandom this week is going to be the new Benny Safdie, Nathan Fielder show, The Curse. It's on Paramount Plus and Showtime, and it is about this gentrifying couple played by Nathan Fielder and Emma Stone, and they're on like this HGTV type show where like they're like flipping houses and like this in this neighborhood that's like full of like Mexican people, and it's ostensibly about the couple getting cursed for like this goofy thing, but like the show itself is about like so much more, and it's like it keeps like shooting everything in this like voyeuristic like way, even when it's like there isn't a camera crew filming them. It's just like I picked it up by the second episode, and it's just like, wow, like the camera is really unassuming. It's not like a lot of the times where it's like you get a close up, you get all this, and like it's like really hand holding your emotions. It's just like it almost feels like found footage of these people when they're not being recorded, and like they're just being like very specifically like just awful in ways that are so new to me and so familiar to me at the same time. And it's just such a fascinating watch. And I highly recommend it for anybody who is looking for like a Nathan Fielder fix after The Rehearsal, which was also a great show that I've recommended in the past. So those will be my two What the Fandoms this week. It's going to be Invincible season 2 and the new season, or the first season of The Curse on Paramount Plus and Showtime. Joe, what the fandom with you?
Thanks for asking, Khalid. Great recommendations. I have only seen the trailer for The Curse, but I was really looking forward to that one. It looks really good.
It's nuts. I can't wait to talk to you about it.
Hell yeah. My What the Fandom this week, I just finished is a show called Surreal Estate. I just finished the first season on Hulu. It is actually a Sci-Fi Channel original. I know I like kind of jumped on Sci-Fi originals earlier in this podcast, but this is actually a really, really good show. It stars Tim Rozon, who I don't know, he's in other sci-fi shows. He was in Vagrant Queen. He was in Schitt's Creek also, and Sarah Levy. They're the leads, and the idea is they're part of a real estate agency called the Roman Agency, which is a special agency that specializes in like, quote, metaphysically engaged or distressed properties. And so basically what that means is they help clean out and sell formerly haunted houses. So they help people who are trying to sell their home or get out of their house, get on the market. And like the whole concept is they help ghosts or spirits or demons or whatever. The goal is to try to help them move on from the house as well if they can, or if they have to fight it, they have to fight it. So it's kind of like it's like Ghostbusters if they're real estate agents. But it really like scratched this itch that I didn't quite know I had. Like a lot of TV that I've watched nowadays, it's like the newer kind of style of TV where it's very serialized. Like this is like an old school style where it's a newer show, but I think it's from 2019, but it's very like, it's a very procedural type show, very Monster of the Week. Like there are overarching threads like with the character relationships, and like there's a thread that's set in the beginning and that's taken up in the end as well. But like ultimately all the episodes are really stand alone. And it's got this, like, there's like a little team of experts, like where they'll do research and like, oh, this is a such and such kind of demon, or like a class 1, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like that kind of like research component that, you and I used to love in like Buffy and Angel, where they like dig into these old texts and figure out like what this is and that. And like one of the characters is a former priest who, quit the church because he, he's married another man, and he's like does all this research. He'll like go to these small towns and like dig into their like this town history to find like old stuff about the house and the property. And then there's another guy who's like a tech whiz who like invents ways to see ghosts and spirits and stuff. And so like all of these like kind of like almost tropey characters, but it just fits really well in this setting. And it's just a whole lot of fun to like watch and like get invested into. And yeah, it's just that kind of Monster of the Week show. Like I said, I hadn't been realized I was craving it, but I was really craving it. And it was a lot of fun. I finished season 1. It was really solid. The finale was great. There is a season 2 that's currently airing. I think it's on Sci-Fi, but hasn't come to Hulu yet. So I'm eagerly waiting for that to drop. So yeah, Surreal Estate. That is my What the Fandom this week.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds really cool. I got to check that out.
Super fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that recommendation, Joe. And thank you, everybody at home, for listening to another awesome discussion on Frankenstein's podcast. As a reminder, please check out the Patreon for our Franken Bits. It's really, really fun, easy, small, cheap donations, keeps us going, just gives us another reason to get up in the morning, which we so desperately need. Also, please remember to give us a review and a 5-star rating over on Apple Podcasts. Let's go ahead and game that algorithm, folks. It takes a village. But with that being said, until next time, y'all, creep it easy.